Oh yo everyone, welcome back to a new video on this channel. I'm Zodiac Garden and today we are finally doing the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Yes, I know, it's been a while. I want to let you guys know that I'm getting a message right now. No guys, I want to let you know that yeah, we already covered Freddy vs. Jason last week on this, on the Friday 13 ranking. I'm still gonna do Freddy vs. Jason in this list this week. I just wanted to let you know it's gonna be more of a summary of last week, so yeah, that's just it. All I can say for the rest is like, I hope you guys enjoyed, so please don't forget to like the video. Let me know what your ranking is of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Don't forget to subscribe, please. Pretty please. Yeah, let's dive in. Coming in number 9, dead last, is Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Screw this movie. I have spoken. Well, as for the remake, I at least hoped they would do something right. So, there's that, which I will talk about in a minute. Some of the entries before this movie have given Freddy more of a comedic tone, but this is the one that took it about 10 steps too far. Nothing in this movie is scary. Nothing about this movie makes any goddamn sense. And nothing in this movie connects back to anything of the previous entries in the series. It just feels like some bizarre elsewhere story, and none of it works. The characters aren't interesting. I have no idea how they wrote Japhet Kodo in this drag. Japhet, my man, you're a freaking alien. You're so much better than this. There is a Wizard of Oz references everywhere, and there's weirdly enough cameos from Tom Arnold, Roseanne Barr, and Alice Cooper of all people. Yep, Alice. Just to, you know, horror movie soundtracks, you're better off, buddy. The movie tries to dive into Freddy's backstory, and none of it is any good. Freddy has a daughter or some shit that no one has ever mentioned until now, and my god, I don't care. This is one of the movies that I, honest to god, pretend does not exist. It's the worst movie in the franchise, and it's one of the worst slashers ever made, if not the worst. Coming in number 8 is A Nightmare on Elm Street, the official remake. Well, I already teased this one just like a little moment ago, but yeah, here we have it. This is, honest to god, the worst horror movie remake I've ever seen, and it's a damn shame. Well, second worst at least, if you consider the Black Christmas 2019 remake, because I stated in another review, Jack Earl Haley took up the mantle as Freddy this time around, which was a great casting choice. To his credit, he does his best with what he is given. However, the movie doesn't give him much to do. He maybe has 2 original lines in the whole film, and every other line spoken by him is a line spoken by Robert Englund in the previous Nightmare film. So this new Freddy isn't able to have his own identity, and the movie tries to insult your intelligence by trying to convince you that Freddy might have been innocent, when the flashbacks proved without a doubt that he couldn't possibly have been innocent. It's a bunch of trived crap that doesn't work whatsoever. It wastes a talented cast including Rooney Mara, Thomas Dekker and Katie Cassidy. And to make things worse, it actually almost made Rooney Mara quit acting. It was that bad a film. I'm sorry guys, but I'm not revisiting this crap anytime soon. Coming in number 7 is a more controversial pick, but it's A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Yeah, hold on, I know, just hear me out, okay? I think this movie has a genuinely good atmosphere. It's directed very well by Rennie Harlin, who I've come to admire over the years. Some of the kills in the movie are good, while others are a bit lame in my opinion. And overall, the acting is pretty good. Robert Englund is enjoyable as always, and I really like Lisa Wilcox in this movie. My issues with the movie are story issues. Mainly how Freddy is not only resurrected, but defeated in the end. Honestly, both are huge letdowns to me. Freddy is literally resurrected in this movie by having a dog piss on his grave. I'm not making a joke, that's literally what happens. He is defeated by looking at himself in the mirror. Okay. And yes, I get the whole idea of the Dream Master rhyme in this movie. I understand this. It just doesn't do it for me. The Dream Warriors of part 3 are all killed off in the first 30-ish minutes, maybe 40. And it feels like such a waste. I mean, I can understand killing Kristen as they couldn't get Patricia Arquette back to play the character. She's replaced by Tuesday Knight in this movie, but killing of all of them feels like wasted potential to me, especially since the movie gives us a new character to follow, being Alice. Wouldn't it have made more sense to have Kristen die and have Joey and Kincaid train Alice to be a dream warrior? Or at least something along those lines? I feel like they killed these characters too soon, and the movie just wants us to accept Alice as the new heroine, even though she really hasn't done much to earn that. In addition, the side characters did nothing for me, with the exception of Dan, who is a decent character. The side characters were just kind of there for the most part, and for every cool thing, this movie, it does something lame that just takes it down a notch for me. But then again, this is all my opinion, and I still really enjoyed this movie for what it was. Just what it was couldn't get it any higher on this list for me, so sorry. Coming in number 6 is A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Now, this is the one I feel gets such a bad rap throughout the series, and please, don't get me wrong here, I get some of the criticisms. It isn't really that scary, Freddy is really comical in this one, but to be fair, he was every bit as comical in The Dream Master, in my opinion. The ending is very weird, not nonsensical or anything, just very weird. I mean, I understood it, it's just so bizarre, and there's one death scene in particular where Freddy force feeds this beauty queen to death. That was just too ridiculous for me. That being said, despite these issues, I think this movie is a bit underrated and more enjoyable from a story standpoint than The Dream Master. Freddy uses his mother to bring him back this time as he evades the dream of Alice, her unborn child, which is an ingenious idea. The baby is always sleeping while it's being carried to term, so you're always gonna be dealing with Freddy in this situation. I like the idea how Freddy can find creative ways to come back, and how he came back in this film was a nice precursor to what we would see in Freddy vs. Jason. I thought he did a nice job of expanding the lore of Freddy and Amanda Krueger, which was always brought up in the Dream Warrior. What they do reveal about the backstory here, and there was definitely enough to keep me investigated. In addition, I found some of the side characters to not only be more useful, but just more proactive in general, which is a huge step up from the side characters in the Dream Master, who were really just there to die. This is all the movie which has the best death scene in the series. Dan's motorcycle is just amazing. I mean, he just becomes this like road warrior mutant riding a motorcycle. He's got wires and tubes coming out of his body, and it's so awesome. The comic book death that I know a lot of people hate is incredibly silly and over the top, but it's entertaining as hell. Also, I feel like this film is the film where Lisa Wilcox, or Alice, is earned her stripes as a dream warrior. As we see her trying to protect her friends, herself and the unborn child inside of her. In the last film, I felt like the dream warriors were killed off too early, and the film just basically said, well, forget those guys, here's your new heroine, love her, damn it. I felt like in this film Alice earned that love from the audience, as she feels more of a complete character and heroine this time around. Coming in number 5 is Freddy vs. Jason. Well, I already talked this one last week in the ranking of Friday the 13th, like I just said, so I'll try to be brief with this one, okay? This was the movie that fans waited for over a decade for, and it paid off big time. We finally got to see two of our favorite horror icons fighting on screen, but the film also went the extra mile by including a ton of extra lore from both franchises. The characters range from stock to memorable, and all the brawls of Freddy vs. Jason are gorgeously choreographed. A lot of the deaths are invented, and Freddy vs. Jason is just an overall fun experience. It's a modern day Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. And coming back at number 4 is A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Well, I got to admit that back in the day this was one of my least favorites because it didn't really connect to the main storyline except for one or two things, and it made me always skip it for most part. But over the years I came to love it only for how unique it is. And not to mention, this was before the series took Freddy in a more comedic route. Here, there is genuinely disturbing scenes, particularly disturbing in terms of body horror. In this film, we see Freddy actively try to live again through the male protagonist, Jesse. And no, not Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. This isn't something he would ever try to do again with another character. I'm guessing mostly because of the negative backlash of this film, but it's a very interesting concept. As I said earlier, I like all the different ways that Freddy potentially come back, and seeing him try to be born again through another human being was genuinely terrifying at times. Jesse finds himself mentally scarred and tortured by Freddy, realizing that he's slowly becoming the killer of nightmares. Mark Patton gives a great performance as a kid, riding the line between sane and full-blown psychotic. Wow, I should say really weird, what the fuck. I mean, I will admit that his screams can get a little annoying at times, but it really helps to sell the fear that his character is feeling. Mark Patton and Kim Myers had a great chemistry in the film, especially towards the end. I really like the relationship between Jesse and Lisa a lot, and a lot of the death scenes are memorable. The one where Freddy cuts himself out of Jesse's body and kills his friend is one of the best scenes in the franchise. Now, there is one scene here that a lot of fans despise, and even Wes Craven looked at it like, what the hell? That's the scene where Freddy reveals himself at the barbecue towards the end. Yes, under normal circumstances, he would not attack like this in the real world. I mean, he's more protected in his dream world, and he is scarier when he attacks in your dreams. So I can see where people would be put off by this. However, I think this works for this film because of what Freddy is trying to do in this film. He is trying to live again. He is trying to have the best of both worlds. And no, shut up Hannah Montana. It makes the film stand on its own, in my opinion. I love the main characters, I like a few of the side characters, I love the kills, I love the atmosphere. Honestly, if I hate anything about this film, it's the dumbest fake out at the end with the bus. There's also this gym teacher character who just comes off as kind of strange. I mean, I was really pleased when he died, I'm not gonna lie. Overall, I feel Freddy's Revenge has some problems, but it's nowhere near as bad as others have made it out to be. And I think, well, if you go in it with an open mind, you might find yourself enjoying it. Coming in number 3 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors. Yes, I know, right? Well, look, this is the one film that often is seen as the best in the series by a lot of fans, and I can definitely see why. I absolutely love this movie. I cannot give this sequel enough praise. The Dream Warriors is not only the second most creative Nightmare sequel, canon-wise, it's also the second most fun. Wes Craven came back to hell with the writing of this film, and it clearly shows. While this would be our first glimpse at a comedic Freddy, he is still quite frightening in this one. This is really the one and only where there was a perfect balance between comedic Freddy and scary Freddy. The comedy just kind of took over more and more as the films went on. This film brings back Nancy from the first film, once again played by the always great Heather Langenkamp, who is trying to help kids in a mental hospital who have encountered Freddy. Particularly Kristen, played by Patricia Arquette, and Tricia Arquette and Heather Langenkamp had a great chemistry throughout the film and played each other off beautifully. It was brilliant to have Nancy come back and be a mentor to all those new potential Freddy victims, who teaches them how to control their dreams and fight back against Freddy. It's such a cool concept that not only pays respect to the original, but also takes the rules of the dream world that Freddy inhabits to a whole new level. The kills are outstanding. My absolute favorite Freddy kill is in this movie. Oh yeah, that's right, that's good murder. Hell yes. The scene of these characters fighting in the dream world are all unique and well handled, as are the fights in the real world. There is a part in this movie where some of the characters have to do a battle with Freddy's bones like it's Evil Dead Army of Darkness. Yeah, it's bizarre as shit, but I'll fucking allow it. The score, the kills, the characters, and even Freddy's one-liners, which never miss a beat throughout the film, all help to make The Dream Warriors the third best movie in the franchise. Number 2 is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. This was Wes Craven's long-awaited return to the franchise, and instead of continuing where the Abomination Knows Freddy's Dead left off, he opted for something completely new. This film takes place in the real world, where we are technically not dealing with Freddy, but rather an evil force who has taken the form of Freddy. The entity is hunting Heather Langenkamp, the actress who played Nancy in the first film, and her son Dylan, and with the help of Wes Craven, who was writing the movie as it's happening. Heather must become Nancy one last time to defeat this evil entity and save her son. The movie knows how to play with your head and your expectations. There is a sense of dread and tension throughout this film as it builds to its climax. New Nightmare made its audience do something they hadn't do in a long time. Think. It's not so much a slasher film as much as it is a psychological descent into madness. You're made to use your brain to figure out how much of this is the supernatural entity and how much of this is just in Heather's head. And Wes Craven went about this in a very interesting way. This movie explores horror films and the effects on the people who make them is just fascinating to me. Ultimately, that's what makes this movie so great. Psychological aspects are all perfectly handled and it messes with the minds of its audience every bit as it messes with the minds of the characters. Robert Englund plays Freddy and himself in this film, and God is this new Freddy scary as hell. He has not looked this good or has been this menacing since the original. The boots, the trench coat, the oversized fedora, everything about him is just beastly. He is more visually interesting in this film than he has ever been in the past. The actors, the scares, the tension, the atmosphere, Freddy's incredibly design and the psychological elements all help A New Nightmare. A unique and brilliant film in its own right. Shocking none of you, coming in number 1 is the original Friday the 13th. Well, not only is this one of the best slasher films ever made, I would go as far to say that this is Wes Craven's best movie by a clear mile, and considering this man's filmography, I cannot say this lightly. This is one of those horror films that just gets everything perfect. The casting, the pacing, the characters, the atmosphere, the kills, all of it is perfect. It is true horror in its purest form. The premise is original and thought-provoking, and given that most of the slasher flicks of the 80s were just slice and dice flicks, that's saying a lot. It was a slasher film that, for its time, dared to be something new and creative. Robert Englund's first go-around as Freddy Krueger is both scary and iconic. Freddy is witty and absolutely frightening. Heather Langenkamp as Nancy is wonderful. Then again, she is wonderful in any movie where she portrays this character. Another great performance is Amanda Weiss as Tina, which leads me into the audience expectations that this film brilliantly plays with. For the first part of the movie, it seems to be following Tina and her story, with Nancy being more of a side character. But taking a page out of Psycho's playbook, Wes Craven actually makes Tina not the main protagonist, but rather the first victim. And an iconic, disturbing and utterly gory death scene. And from then on out, it's following Nancy as she tries to piece everything together and takes on Freddy herself, while also trying to keep the rest of her friends off the chopping block. It's a solid turnaround that you just don't see coming. Now, you can make the argument that the Dream Master was trying to do the same thing by trying to kill off Kristen early on and focusing more on Alice, and I would agree on you with that. I do think that's what that film was indeed going for, and it gives it props for. However, where Tina's death was very surprising, Kristen's death was pretty much obvious from the start. I never saw the turnaround with Tina and Nancy coming in the first time I saw this movie. In The Dream Master, I saw the turnaround with Kristen and Alice coming within the first 15 minutes. So, I can appreciate the effort in that film, but honestly, it doesn't have the same effect or impact on me as it does here in this film. Also, since you know everyone will kill me if I don't mention this fact, but Johnny Depp made his first acting appearance ever in this movie and has one of, if not the best death scene in the movie. In fact, like I just said, all the death scenes are fantastic. You wouldn't see deaths in most modern day slashers because most people directing them lack what Wes Craven had. Vision and testicles, with great atmosphere, compelling characters, ballsy visuals, scares that are earned and a sense of dread and unease throughout. A Nightmare on Elm Street was Wes Craven's horror masterpiece, and as I'm concerned, that man never topped this film. Well, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this ranking. Please, like I just said in the beginning, like, subscribe, comment what your ranking is, and see you guys next week. Bye.